to Atlantic Ocean, upon me hills, Topical, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday, from Monday to Sunday, it's focus on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday. Focus on
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are watching the World Cup. It's Brazil and Norway. Norway just scored, but they canceled the goal. They said he was offside. That's how it is. And today you see me with my USA hat on, USA. Yesterday was July 4th, 250th birthday. 250th birthday. A great nation for 250 years. I'm watching it on silent. I got the game on the big screen here in my office. I'm watching it. I will be cheating. I will be looking and talking at the same time. But yesterday was a beautiful day, 250th birthday of the great United States, country that made it possible for some of us to actualize our dreams and aspirations. We were born in a country where Dr. Booty would have never become a doctor. I, Jerome Gateman, would not have become who I am. It is because of the largesse and the goodness of other people, other nations, whose vision for a greater global good made it possible for us to be here. 250 years ago, this nation was birthed. Men and women who came on these shows had an intention. They were intentional. They didn't make this nation for themselves or specific for them and their heirs. In fact, as we speak, their great grandchildren no longer exist here. Whatever they built, we are standing on their shoulders. We are making the best of it. What I like about a nation, it says we are not a perfect nation. We are a nation in motion. Imperfect as we are, the future belongs to everyone who comes here to make it better than they made it. So whatever it is you do when you come, improve and leave it better for your children and your children's children. And because of that, a boy from the deep south whose parent came to Nimba to find a better living.
This guy. This guy, man.
Were able to send his children out of that dungeon called Liberia, and now he's a Dr. Booty, among some of the best and brightest minds across the ocean. Because of these folks, somebody from a place called Grand Jita made his way to be an IT expert. Say all you want about the imperfection of the West. They have made it possible for us to come and sit back and on radio, on television, and watch the game with the lights. You can't say light, hey man, the light don't go again. Oh. My man, I ran out of data. No data. Because of that, we are celebrating 250 years of greatness. Greatness. 250 years. As the men and women were leaving the Liberty Hall in Philadelphia, a lady walked up to one of the writers of the Constitution and said, "Mr. Author, what is it that we have? Do we have a monarchy? Do we have a constitutional democracy? What is it we have?" He says, "It's a democracy, only if we can keep it. It would be a democracy only if we can keep it." That is powerful. Can we keep democracy? Then in one of my political science classes, public relations, I asked Governor Dukakis, I said, "Governor, what makes this Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, so powerful?" He said, "Mr. Gaiman, that's very simple." He said, "Our Constitution is a very small book, very few pages. And it's not even the best written Constitution. It's about we developed a culture that represents, understands, and willing to defend that Constitution to her death. So the question that we all have is, do we have we developed a culture that understands what is written on paper? Let me welcome Dr. Booty. Dr. Booty, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for seeing this beautiful game with these fake Brazil people trying to get penalty, all kinds of, they flip flopping here. But anyway, welcome.
But man, I clap it too.
I know the man touched the ball first, man. Go ahead, Booty. Talk to me. Welcome to the show. I know you are, whoever you are, a Brazilian fan, that was not a penalty. Y'all can say all y'all want to say. That was clear. He got the ball first and then touched. Welcome, Dr. Booty. Let him go to the thing. Y'all can say
Well,
all you
first,
want to say.
first,
That is not a penalty.
first of all, that he got to the ball first, I don't know. There seems to be a slight movement, but it's very, very, I don't know. That's stretching it a little bit. It looks like a penalty, but obviously that's
No,
not what we are.
no.
Look, I listened to your long monologue that you provided, and it sounded very much like whitewashing of history. All right,
Let's
because
do it. Let's do it.
this,
This is
this
what.
country, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. This
Go ahead.
country, or the country you're in, actually, that you're praising and for whom you're wearing a uh, a hat that says USA and waving the flag,
Well, man,
was
yeah, what a
built.
minute to do.
It was built on the backs of our people who were exploited, who were
Yeah,
taken away.
he missed the ball.
So you're going to interrupt me on that note?
In Liberia, you used to say, well, miss the ball, don't miss the bone. I hate that. He missed the ball, he didn't miss the bone. Yeah, go ahead, Chief.
Yeah. So no, yeah. So these people built the country that you're talking about on the backs of slave labor. Um, and then they did not end there. For the last 250 years, all they've done is exploited the world, especially the black world, for their own benefit. So when you say things like, "Oh, they made things possible for you," that's again a whitewashing, because basically they were the ones that sent free slaves from the United States to Liberia to go and disrupt our way of living, to say that they were setting up a new republic. All right, they were the ones that bombarded crew warriors who were trying to rebel against this hegemony in the colony that was basically exploiting our people. They were the ones that sent Firestone there, that went and clear sacred lands, or millions of hectares, well, thousands of hectares of land, destroyed the Pele people and some of the Baza people's heritage to make way for the production of rubber for their industrial benefit. They were the ones that assassinated presidents after presidents after president, brought civil war to our country, that destroyed our people. And then when the guy that won, they didn't like him, they went and funded another civil war that came and killed another thousands and thousands of our people. So they've done more to hold us back than to do anything to make you or anyone become who you are. Look, you went to America, Mr. Gaiman, like many other Liberians, and you worked hard to get to where you are, right? You did not sit there and get handed free stuff. You probably pour more into the US economy than most ordinary Americans have ever done or will ever do in their lifetime. Your companies that employ people are doing more to keep the peace in Florida where you live, because those people you employ are not thieves, they're not robbers, they're not going out and killing people in order to find ways to survive. So no, Mr. Gamer, I disagree with you. The US is not the greatest country in the world, unless you're talking about greatness in terms of hypocrisy, greatness in terms of being a robbery, being robbers, greatness in terms of being racist and divisive, great in terms of being the number one cause of all of the issues that the world is currently facing. Well, case in point, your best friend, Mr. Donald Trump, woke up one morning and decided that, oh, going to this bomb Iran was a good idea, and plunged all of us into economic hardship, right? For reasons that nobody can seem to understand. So, no, I disagree with you that they're such a great country because of all of the major, and that's not even like an exhaustive list a major destructive behavior they've carried on for the 250 years that they've been a country and longer because of the slavery started way before they gained independence. And everything you sit on today was created by slave labor, and they still exploit continuously our countries. Right. So no, I disagree. But no, it's great to be here, and I'm looking forward to how the three of us are going to manage to have an honest conversation today about the issues in Liberia, whilst spotting the TV every 2 seconds to make sure what's
And,
happening on there.
and,
That would be a great day.
and this is what, the few of us that show up, that means it gives us more time to talk and be exhaustive in our debate. Anthony Gay, could two things be true at the same time? Could it be that these four did terrible things? And could it be true too that some of us are beneficiaries of some of the terrible things they have done? I didn't, when they gave me a scholarship to go to school, I didn't turn it down because they did terrible things. When I became who I am, I didn't turn it down because of the terrible things they did. So can two things be true at the same time? They did some terrible things, and they are also doing some good things that some of us have benefited from. You are muted.
Sorry, I didn't mute my TV.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, Mr. Gibbon. Look, America is not a perfect country. This is not a perfect democracy. But America has given a lot of country and a lot of people second chances in life. Like me, I came to this country with zero computer knowledge. Zero. Absolutely zero computer knowledge. Today, I work for one of the best corporations in the world in America. And the circumstances of transatlantic slavery was a grave act. I won't sit there and pretend. Raising in America is still a reality. I won't sit here and pretend because I saw it firsthand when I worked in Wyoming, contracting for Microsoft. Um, so yes, but this democracy worth celebrating 250 years. Worth celebrating. My son is currently serving the U.S. Army. He's a sergeant. Um, and I can tell you for a fact that the vast majority of Liberians here in this country contributing immensely to the economy of Liberia. Hadn't been for them, the economy of Liberia would be crumbled. And look, yes, I agree with Dr. Bui on some aspect, like some of the problem in the world caused by the United States, yes, alluding to the recent situation in Iran, yes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend. But our people have refused to take responsibility and moving our nation forward. Leaders in leadership today cannot blame America for the hardship in Liberia. I don't think so. Because they are in power. America is not in power. They are making the decision. America is not making the decision. If they sit there and cave into what America dictated to them, it's up to them. Ibrahim Traoré said he would not take order from France. Is the country not doing well? This country is sitting there doing well. I mean, we can sit here and play the blame game all alone. The fault is our people. After all of what happened during slavery, today, some of us have the opportunity to rewrite history. Right? Dr. King did not tie hands and say, oh, my great-grandparent was broiled in chains, so I should tie my hand. He fought. Today, you and I have that opportunity to cast a ballot, to seek corporate employment, to own our own businesses, to employ other people. Aren't we? We are doing those things. The opportunity is here. Is racism going away? Absolutely not. We still got a long way to go. But at least we have a foundation on which we can stand and fight and change it for the better for our children to come. But we cannot sit here and continue to play the blame game. I celebrated America 250th anniversary yesterday. I'm grateful to this nation. I will forever remain grateful to this nation. But yes, we still have work to be done. but we cannot ship all of the misfortune in Liberia and around Africa on America alone or the Western world. Some of these things our people need to take full responsibility because they are in charge and we can rewrite history. And so I want to stop it there.
Yeah, Mr. Gayman, can I just have a minute because there's
Yes,
only
go
three of
ahead.
us
Go
here
ahead.
to
Come
speak.
on. This is,
Because
I love it.
Mr. Gay said he said some things that I disagree with. First of all, when you say that our leaders are to blame and oh they can resist, right? Case in point, Cuba. Would you say Cuba is a great nation right now? They've been resisting for 60 years. What has that led them to? What right now there's blockouts everywhere in Cuba. People are starving to death. Why? Because the Americans is saying, look, if you don't do it our way, this is what we can do to you. Would you rather a Liberian leader stand up to the Americans and watch thousands of their people die every day from malnutrition? Watch, I'm not saying that they're not dying now, right? But to watch thousands more of their people die from curable illnesses, watch thousands more of their people prevented from gaining opportunities and getting ahead in life as best as they could. No, you wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. If I was a leader in Liberia and the ultimatum was given to me, as much as I would hate to do it, I would rather save my people than to be ideological in the sense like you look at the example of Cuba, that the Americans can basically blockade Liberia and we can't do anything about it. We'll starve to death and the country can probably go in state. So no, look, you talk about the fact that America has made you a computer, bruh. America didn't make you. The opportunities were created because they need people like you to work in these organizations so that their rich white friends can collect the paycheck. You are getting paid a little tiny piece of what these guys are collecting every month. You're basically slaving for their benefit, right? But because you see it as better than what you would make in Liberia, which is a fact, it's better than what would you be making in Liberia. That's a fact. But you don't see how capitalism is taking more and giving you less because what you do for that organization, you should probably be making more than the guy who calls himself CEO and doesn't do anything. Just sit there and let you guys do all the work, and he gets the big paychecks. So no, my brother, I would disagree with you. I know it's your truth, but I disagree with your truth. That it was if it look if President William R. Talbot was not taken out by the Americans and he had continued down the trajectory of what he was trying to do in Liberia, I wouldn't have needed to come to the United Kingdom to get a doctorate degree. No, I came here because the Americans killed Talbot, and then our country went into chaos for years, and then Charles Taylor came and destroyed. The same Americans sent him there to destroy it further. So the systems were so broken down that we had to leave. I didn't have a choice. I didn't want to leave. I had to leave. There's a difference. Most Liberians didn't want to leave. I remember when I was a very young kid, but I remember when we went to Guinea and Ivory Coast, they used to call our Bonya diet, because Liberians were so in love with their country that we said, look, we're born here. This is where we're going to die because we had opportunities and options, right? Okay, it took a long time for us to start trickling down to other parts of the country, but we were moving in the right direction. The Americans said, no, we didn't want that. We want Liberia to be self-determining. So let's go and destroy the guy that's there and bring some people that don't know what they're doing to run the country the way we want them to run it so we can continue to exploit, right? You wouldn't have had to leave Granjida to come here, right? If Talbot had stayed in and done the things that he was doing. If we were left to our own vices to do what we need to do, I do not believe I would need to come here before I can get a PhD. I do not believe that you need to go to the US before you can become a computer scientist. And I do not believe that Mr. Gaiman won't be able to run multiple businesses in Green Basel County.
Mr. Gibbon, before you welcome, Mr. Nangbe, welcome, Mr. Nangbe. Before Mr. Nangbe says something, let me push back on what Dr. Budi just said. Look, my dear brother, the reality is the reality. Truth is stubborn, right? And here is the thing that the Budi that you fail to realize in your presentation, that is, you're blaming all of these people but ourselves. So the war ended almost 25 years today, 2 decades plus. The war have ended, right? You have your education, you can still go back to Liberia. The reason why you're not going back to Liberia is because of the rampant corruption and infrastructure institutions are not in place, right? That's part of the reason why you can't go back to Liberia. Many other Liberians like you who have accomplished, you know, on the educational front and also in other aspects want to go back home. The reality remains that our leaders now, if the government of Liberia today invest in agriculture, would the American people carry bulldozer and destroy the farm? I don't think so. If Liberia invest in tourism, if the Liberian sign concession deal that is intentional, where we add value to our natural resources instead of just exporting the raw material, would the Americans stop them from doing such thing? I don't think so. If our leaders invest into healthcare, invest into education, would the American come and stop them? Absolutely not. So why are we blaming people for our own misfortune? I'm not saying that they don't have influence in what they do, but guess what? Let's do the basics. Let's do what is required to help our people. We can do those things. We are an independent nation. We are a foreign nation for a reason. If we decide to take off the US data off the market and use the Liberian data as our legal tender and keep the US data at the central bank of Liberia, every business person that want to buy goods outside the country, go and buy a US data from the central bank of Liberia and go do a transaction and come back and sell in Liberian data. Would that stop the US government will stop that? Absolutely not. Why are we using two currencies concurrently? And it has a disadvantage of the buyer. The buyer are at a disadvantage. Only the vendor benefit for this. Two currencies running concurrently in Liberia. So I just gonna stop there so Mr. Nangwe can come in
No,
because
no, 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 Mr. Nangwe, sorry. Let me hit back on him here because the play going. Sorry, Mr. Nangwe. Yeah. So first of all, no, no, no. Let me address your comments there, right? I did not say that our leaders don't have any blame, right? But the structure in which we have to exist has more of an impact on our ability to succeed than the corruption people are doing, right? Now, I'm not saying that, look, these guys cannot manage the economy, the limited resources better, but because of the things that have been done to look, first of all, when it comes to concession agreements, my brother, the Liberian government does not sign or negotiate concession agreements with his hands in front of it like this. Most times, most governments have one hand tied behind their backs because the World Bank or the IMF, through with influence from the US and other countries, are basically dictating to them how these concessions should be signed. So anyway, since you gone off the screen, I'll leave it there. Let Mr. Nangwe, I think we can finally welcome you now.
So now we
Yeah,
welcome to the show.
thank you very much. Hello, Dr. Booty, and happy 4th, Mr. Gilman, and also to our American audience. It's good to be back with you. Happy Sunday as well. Um, on that question, yeah, I wish Mr. Gill were back on. But I hope you can listen to me. I think the concept that we should be apologetic to America for being here today, I think it's not to understand the relationship that the West has with Africa, not just Liberia. It's very simple. Dominate us, keep us in perpetual dependence. I mean, let's say for example, the Pfizer Rubber Corporation in Liberia, the biggest rubber farm in the world. Do you think we could begin to, through their influence and their help, to begin to add some value to the latex instead of just take all of that raw material and bring it to Akron, Ohio, or wherever they're bringing it in now? I mean, um, Zimbabwe discovered that. We talked about that, I believe, here or elsewhere with their lithium, and now look what they're getting out of it. Just the mere concept of processing these raw materials on site. I mean, there are a lot of connections, that could result from this. Value added. There's a lot of jobs that could be created, and then also you're also creating local technicians, local technocrats who can begin to man these things. But Pfizer is still being run by Americans from here. So the fact that they come and take our resources for pennies on a dollar, and we should be grateful to them. I reject that. I think it's a misunderstanding of the relationship with Africa. What I think we haven't figured out, to his point, is that we haven't figured out an effective way, to deal with this. And I think a strategy really will involve not just single countries, because this singularity of pushing back, I think it has not gotten anywhere, because you're talking here the West, where Elon Musk now alone is almost bigger than the combined budget of the entire continent. I mean, we're talking about 1.2 or so $1 trillion GDP of the entire continent. Elon Musk alone is almost worth half of that. So you're talking individual, wasn't Zuckerberg alone probably could eat up the whole West ECOWAS budget. So these people are enormously powerful. In order for us to counter them, I think we have to really be united, in our approach. That is the only way I believe we can win. But where, Liberia gets up and they come to negotiate for the iron ore, and they can give you whatever they want. And they tell you, go to hell. What can you do? You don't have that many options. But if we're negotiating with them, say, look, since Liberia has iron ore and DR Congo has cobalt, and since you want a cobalt, well, in order to get a cobalt, this is what you should also pay Liberia for the iron ore, or this is what you should pay, Zambia for their, or Zimbabwe for their lithium. I think we start bargaining like that, collective bargaining. I think that's probably one of the best ways we can get ahead. And these fellows in Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso, I think there's something to be, taken from their attitude. They are saying, you know what, we're going to combine ourselves and negotiate as a cluster, as a team. Right now, ECOWAS and AU, this people just go there to exhibit, the new dressing, new suits, and whatever it is. These are paper tigers. They don't do anything for us. So I think that's where we need to look. But it's good to be with you. I hope Mr. Gay will come back and let me hear his pushback. But this whole concept that we should be grateful to the West for getting us in the mess that we're in, he needs to go back to bombing holes and see what is there. Go back to Lanco and see what is there. Go back to bomb mines and see what is there. Those are all Western corporations. What do we have for all the revenue that he has? How about now? How about B. Martin now? He needs to go there. He needs to go and sit down at the airport and see how much people are taking out of the country today as we speak. And let him come back and make that same argument.
Let me go to this here. I will not let you off the hook. I will call you an apologist for the corruption in Liberia and in Africa. You are letting the corrupt officials of Liberia and Africa off the hook. We blame everything on the folk. You saw your vice president. You saw the letters. You saw the independent reporting that one man in the Republic of Liberia by the name of Jeremiah Kwakum, the vice president, is in charge of mining the entire, he's in charge of the entire Western cluster. One man. And he decides who gets what. He gets his cuts. The president gets his cuts. His surrounding colleagues get their cuts. And everybody else in the country goes to hell. Listen, President Trump wrote a book. He said, The Art of the Deal, right? So my job is to go and negotiate for 100% of everything. I want it all. I expect you to come to the table requesting and demanding to get 100% as well. And then we go and meet somewhere else. If you allow me to take it all, I will take it all. So now your vice president, the present government, when the people in King George try to rise up, what did the government do? They killed people, okay, on behalf of the corporation, because they then were defending their own interests as well. So you are leaving them off the hook. You are blaming B. Martin, who is the number one priority of all business is to make profit, to maximize profit. You have to negotiate. If you give it to them, or they will take it. So why are we giving our corrupt leaders from the Lanco deal, the bomb mine deal, all the other deals that they cut us out of? Why are you letting them off the hook? Why are you blaming the West?
Well, look, I think the point about corruption is a valid point. I'm not ignoring that. I think it's a legitimate point to be made. But I'm saying to you, what we need is a combination of corrective measures. Yes, we need to tackle the question of corruption. I think it's endemic, and I think it's a disease. We need to tackle that. I agree. But when you say Trump says, the art of making deal, you come to the table. Well, let him explain the Iran deal to me, and let him tell me he got 100% deal. Because when you go on a negotiating table, what you get out is a function of your capacity. What do you bring to the table? You have to have you negotiate from a position of strength. And I'm saying most of the time, yeah, we talk about the deals that the Ellen government negotiated and all of that. But in many instances, these people came to the negotiating table very weak. They're almost begging these people to stay. I mean, look how long it's taking us to effectuate the Asala deal in Nimba, in Langua and Basso. That's what, and you remember the resident manager here, the insult that she heaped on the president of the Republic of Liberia. That lady. I think she's not in the country anymore. But these people can do this because they know how much strength, how much power they have over us. And so I'm saying, yes, corruption is a problem, but I think also they weaken our capacity to negotiate on the resources that we have. And it's a calculated attempt. It's not by mistake that they set the prices for your iron ore at home, and almost all of the resources that are available on the continent are exported as raw material. You should you help us process these things at home, add value to them, so that we create more jobs and also retain most of the money. Is the point I'm making.
Mr. Give me 1 minute, please. Before you
Yeah, Mr. Gamer, at least 30 seconds do for me if I don't mind before,
let me go and then you can do that. So let me just give you a practical. Let me give you a practical example. Right. So the Americans orchestrated the killing of Talbot. They installed Samuel Doe and his cronies who didn't know how to run the country. So they messed the country up, right? Creating the scene for Charles Taylor to come and further damage the country. So by the time we got to 2003, they had there's a book I read by a guy called Neil Hand called 2 Centuries of U.S. Military Intervention in Liberia, which I encourage you to read. They basically set up a committee, right, that included Britain, America, and other countries to manage Liberia, right? So when Judy Bryant was president, up until Unmill left Liberia, there was a committee of international nations, the big guys, basically telling Liberia what kind of contracts they can sign, how they can negotiate those contracts, what percentage is acceptable for them. So basically, Liberia was negotiating these contracts with a hand tied behind their backs, right? Why do you think, Mr. Gay, that was this place called? I don't know, I forgot the organization that did the research that came up with the 60-something concession deals are wrong. Why do you think nobody's been punished now? Why do you think all the companies that signed those corrupt
It's called
deals,
Global Witness.
Global Witness. Where do you think all the companies that signed those corrupt deals are based? Where do you think this committee that I talked about was when they were signing? Because they were basically like when you go back to E.J. Raw time when he took the loan and they brought in creditors from the U.S. to basically sit in our Department of Finance and tell us they $2 that can't 150 will go back to the banks. You only keep 50. That's the exact same thing they were doing from 2003. Where do you think they were when they were basically instructing us, right? If you want us to pour this is air quotes money into the reconstruction of Liberia, you have to do things the way we say you should do it. When those monies come in, do you know about 80% of those monies do not even touch Liberian soil, right? They go to America to buy the equipment from America. They then send consultants from America, pay them overinflated salaries and benefits, right? And then they put all of that on our head. They say, oh, get like, bro, 300 billion. But only 20 billion of that money actually enter. Yes, our leaders are corrupt. When the 20 billion can, they can gash it, they are said. But my brother, you cannot promise all 300 billion to reconstruct. Send 20 billion, right? The rest of it you pay for things in your own country. You tell Mr. Gaiman, yeah, we'll bring 10 of your people to come study here, but we'll not give you the money to pay your own school fee. We will pay the school fee directly to the university. We'll pay directly for their upkeep. We'll pay directly for their accommodation. The monies do not leave these places. So no, our government, they destroy the country, put us at a disadvantage, come in and take over us as basically owners. I forgot the preceptorship kind of thing, and basically dictate to us how we negotiate contracts. So no, they're not great countries. We're not left to our own vices to do things by ourselves. And if you want to bring Rwanda as a shining example, one of the reasons why they allow them to do the things they're doing is because they're stealing all the diamond from Eastern Congo and selling it to American companies. So they say, okay, yeah, we'll let him do. And then every African thing, oh, look at Rwanda, please.
Real quick, Anthony, before I welcome Aliu.
Yeah. So look, Dr. Booty, I'm not going to follow you down this slippery slope. You have made some points and we have agreed on these points that you have made. You just re-echo them again. Dr. Booty, Liberia possesses up to 46% of the rainforest in West Africa. Our staple food in Liberia is rice. Rice needs two things to grow: sunlight and water. Do we have both of those things in Liberia? Absolutely. What is stopping the Liberian government to take half of the money that we spend on rice import annually to generate that money or to invest into agriculture, and so that our farmers and the rest of the other country, other people can have job opportunity? Rice, it takes 3 months to 4 months.
Let me ask you a question. No, let me ask you a question. Do you have the amount? Do you have the cost of the machine that can produce rice on the industrial scale?
You have to listen. You have to listen here. You have to listen. The iron ore that is in the ground is not going to get rotten. There is no expiration date on the iron ore. There is no urgency to extract the iron ore. Any bank in the world need two things: the verification or the deposit of the iron ore. Can it be verified? Yes. Is it true that you have an iron ore there? Yes. The bank will give you that money. You don't need IMF to turn your hand behind your back. You understand? Listen, let me say this to you. Dr. Booty, economists around the globe have said, if in order to move the economy of the nation, you must invest 10% of the national budget into agriculture. If we go by that ratio, we have 1.2 billion national budget this year. That means 120 million United States dollars should be invested into agriculture, right? Let's make the argument that there are competing priorities in Liberia currently. So we can take 120 million United States dollars and invest into agriculture right away. But can we do at least half of that? Can we do 60 million? Do you know how much money was allocated to agriculture this year? 50 million. 13 in the national budget and 2 million from, I think, the recast budget, what it did, right? Why? Just the overall cost, the ministry and whatnot. How much money going to get into the field itself? Folks, are we joking? Are we serious that we really want to move our country forward? If the Liberian government be intentional to invest into agriculture, would the American government stop there? Are you saying this government is incapable of taking 50 million US dollars to put into agriculture? They don't have that money? Asala Mentor still gave a cash $200 million upfront with the extension of the contract. Even though we have 5 years left on the contract, what was the rush? However, they extended the contract to an additional 25 years of operation for $500 million, but $200 million was given upfront in cash. Why didn't you take at least some of that money to buy 100 or 150 tractors? You went and bought 285 pieces of machines that are not, one of them not agricultural machine. Then you want to sit here and blame this. We all know that these people, that's their trick, and that's how they continue to control the world. But they also did not take away our sense of reasoning and our thinking to be able to navigate and find a solution so they can be relevant and serve our country. We can't always blame these people. We got to find a way out of the circumstances. Other nations are trying to find a way out. We also need to do the same thing. We cannot always say our hands are tied. Mr. Gibson, I want to leave it right there.
Thank you. Guys, like I said, two things can be true at the same time. But let me welcome Aliu Kamara. Aliu is considered a small Pan-Africanist. So he understands our stuff globally, and he speaks truth to power. Aliu Kamara, welcome to the show.
Mr. Gibson, thank you for recognizing me today. You've done something huge today. So I said thank you. And let me say, I'm glad to be here with all of these noble men. So
you know what they say when they praise
you've never been recognized on the show or welcome at all?
Never.
By Jerome Given? I have to demand it.
There you go. Like I said, when they praise you, they rather hit you down low. Now you feel praising, you hit them. Now, Ali Kamara, we got a lot of stuff to go to today to talk about. But everything we're going to talk about today, we have been talking about. So you just come in.
Yeah. But I heard the conversation pretty much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm going to toast to you, ladies and gentlemen, a glass.
You know, I know Ali is coming, but it doesn't mean something, Jerome, that all of sub-Saharan Africa is out of the World Cup. I mean, isn't that really crazy?
Everybody's out?
Sub-Saharan Africa, pretty much. Only our northern brothers are there. Morocco and Egypt. I think that's all we got left.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But go ahead, Ali, it's your time.
Okay, great. Mr. Gilman.
Yes.
I have never enjoyed a conversation that is so fair in a long time on this network. And I gotta say, like you said priorly, two things can be true at the same time. One person stand at our hands being tied. Another person say, yes, our hands are tied, but we have the option to loose our hands. Both are true at the same time. The IMF was not designed to develop any country. The World Bank was not designed to develop any country unless you're in Western Europe or North America. That is a fact. But to Anthony's point, what is really stopping us from, loosening the rope when we can? Then one will say, okay, but what Buddha said, our hands are tied. His point could be, if we try to lose our hands, they kill us. So we're between a rock and a hard place here. But Mr. Anthony, with passion, spoke about agriculture, which is true. No country is independent if it doesn't feed itself. Again, this is not an excuse. It's just a reality. For a country like Liberia that for the first time have, proposed a budget of $1.2 billion for the first time ever, using $50 million cash in a year time just on agriculture could really disturb other developmental programs in the country. So this can be achieved incrementally. And I think we should continue to impose upon the government to do that, because prior to this government, it was between 2, 3, and 5 million. Now you're discussing 50 million. So we're getting somewhere. Those machines that you're talking about, those machines are different projects from agriculture projects. However, the earth moving machine can also help in the area of agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture has already ordered their own equipments. And those equipments are going to be coming as well from the same China. So we're getting there. If you follow the trend of agriculture, you will see agriculture has become broad now. Most of us are talking about rice. Liberia is producing a lot of cassava now. In fact, they got 2 cassava processing factories in Liberia that I know of that produces flour out of cassava. Those weren't there before. Are they big enough to change the trajectory? At this time, no. So let's keep talking, and it's been a very fruitful conversation, Mr. Gilman.
Jerome, if I may just for a second,
yes.
Seconds. Yeah. Let me disagree quickly with my brother Anthony on the proposal that he made, and I mean I entirely disagree with him. I think corruption does have a lot to do with where we are as a country and as a continent. That is indisputable. But when you take the burden that it was imposed on us, and you try to couple that with the corruption, then it makes a matter, a worse situation. What is it? Ridiculous. I believe that's what it is. Liberia right now, we're paying almost $230 million per annum just to service the money that we owe these people, money that they gave us, under dubious circumstances. You know what I mean? Dr. Budi already talked about the repatriation. That is a fact. These people give you $100, they end up taking back maybe $80 of it. With their so-called expert, the little kids, some of them walking around Kansas, they ain't know A from B, but they become expert, they send them behind this money and repatriate it, they send it back home. It is a fact. Now, Ali is talking about, the IMF and all of that, and I'm not an economist. I'm a student of chemistry, so I'm not going to go too deep. But because I go to Ghana a lot, Ghana has benefited a lot from this extended credit facility that IMF has. I think the last was $3 billion. We all know all the coups that happened in Ghana before Rawlings came. Rawlings came in twice. At Champion, all these people that they had to remove. Ghana was going, in the hole. They use the IMF and also judicious management of their resources. They are not out of the woods yet, but they have improved significantly from where they were when you and I were in high school, or junior high school. The IMF can help you. Yeah, the design, the programs. Of course, it's a money-making institution. The World Bank, the IMF, they are there to make money. But if I ask you, Jerome, credit me $20, and you tell me, my man, you gotta give me $30 for the $20. You want to make your profit. It is left with me to spend the $20 in a way that I can also pay you and make something out of it. But you give me $20, then I get out and go sit on the table and buy 3 bottles of beer and then invite you to kind of join me and drink the same beer with the same money I credited from you. Does that make sense? But that's what we actually do. Our president right now.
Let me get 10 seconds on there.
1 minute. I'm coming to you, Aliu. Let me. For me, I want to concentrate.
I didn't finish.
Oh, go ahead.
I didn't finish.
Go ahead,
yeah.
Sir.
So, and I know you want to come in, but quickly, I am saying yes, corruption is a factor. But to Mr. Gates' point, to leave it entirely corruption, I think it's to really ignore the forces that are acting against us, and these forces are real. The international community, they're designed to keep us down, to keep us begging, and then we ourselves compound it with the way we manage our resources. I think those two put together, a combustible, all of the problems we're facing, South Africa here now, Ghana.
Hey, you only to take 10 seconds, man, to something. I'll take another whole hour.
You're taking the man 10 seconds. Add it back to your time, Chief. Keep talking.
No, let him go ahead. You just come in. I think he has a lot on his chest. I just wanted to put those few on the table.
Mr. Nangwe.
Listen, you have a lot on the chest. Listen, your chest is compressed. You better hurry up before you get
Mr. Nangwe, I think you're missing a point. Ghana did not benefit hugely, as you were saying. Ghana was in the hole. Ghana had to recuperate by nationalizing their resources before they were even able to pay back the IMF to a certain degree. Did you not know that? Did you know that Ghana was in the hole? Ghana was almost bankrupt from just paying the IMF and the World Bank, the interest of that money. It was a recent time when they said their goal is nationalize, their diamond is not, their everything, they nationalized everything. That's how they came back. Check the record.
Well, this is
so the IMF is not to slowly help you out of the hole. They give you a hand here, and then you yourself you find a way to join.
IMF doesn't help you.
You can't sit there and depend on what they give you as the sole, refuge or the sole liberator or whatever it is. I think it's a mistake.
No, Mr. Give me about me. I want to push back on what Mr.
1 minute. 1 minute. Mr. Nangwe, I think you flip-flopping. You said that we shouldn't rely solely on what they gave us. Just on the other side, you were saying what they did for us. But let me look at some of the things because
no. I'm very clear on what I said. I said what? Let me be very clear now. Quickly, you pass it on. I said the corruption is a problem for us, but the way they also design the help they give us is also a problem. Unless you sit down and critically look at what they give you, like the IMF we were talking about, the way they structured it. Yeah, you got to pay them back. If you agree to the term, you use the money to give you judicially, you can rehabilitate. Mr. Gay was talking about agriculture. Suppose you took the money and decided, instead of maybe like for instance, the Asala Meta $200 million. Let's assume it was a loan. Suppose you took that money, agriculture in Liberia employ about 60% of the world. Suppose you put that money into agriculture. You'll be able to regain that money and pay it back in no time.
It's not that simplistic, man.
Listen. Come on, let the man finish.
Instead, we're sending it down to Jolly. We're buying more phone cards, we're taking more trips, things that we not really bringing money into the economy. That's how we're spending the $200 million, basically.
I was just watching a film, I think I sent it to every one of you guys about the rise of Singapore. And the analysis there was, everybody wants to go to Singapore and see how they have done it. He said, but the mistake they are making is when they go to Singapore come as a package. They go to Singapore, they want to take this piece and that piece. And the Singaporeans are telling you, it doesn't work that way. For instance, corruption. The gentleman says, if they say corruption is punishable by death. The president's brother will be killed. No if or ands about it. His son will be killed. Then you can't say, no, we don't want that part of it. We just want how you build the roads, how you do this. And they are telling us, everybody's coming here, and when they go back to status quo. I'm saying this to say, here we are doing Ellen Johnson time, looking at the number here, the Liberia consistently spent approximately $200 to $300 million annually in importation of rice. That's from 2006. This is 2026, that's 20 years. We are still importing rice, $200 to $300 million. Do you know what $300 million could do if you put that into agriculture?
Meanwhile, we're still getting donation from them. What they're giving money for agriculture? Yet, no way.
There you go. So now here, now here we are. We are talking about the people tie our hands. You got the land, you got everything. But because of the corruption, you rather give this contract to the Lebanese so you can get a kickback. I think Global Witness says that the president of Liberia was getting like $1 on every bag of rice that comes through the port.
But Jerome, why don't we take your own advice? I think the mistake is
I'm coming. Let me land.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
So we are not talking about that. My concentration is domestic, locally. I'm putting the blame squarely on our folks where they could cut some of the fat to make impact. Now let's look at the $100,000, $75,000 car that they are driving in the flood.
Right.
Okay. Do we need $100,000, $50,000, $60,000 car per person to prove that you can go from Douala to Congo Town? No. Do we need, like I was telling or feeling the other day, why are you living in your own house and they're giving you $2,000 a month for housing allowance since 2026? 2006, since 2006. Why are they paying you $2,000 a month? You're living in your own house and they're calling it housing allowance. Why are they giving you 500 gallons of gas a month and 300 gallons of fuel for your car?
Legal corruption.
Yeah. So here we are, Mr. Namwe, when we are talking about why. I don't want to talk about the tie our hands and the white people keep.
No, let me tell you quickly.
Let's talk about what we can control.
Let me say this quickly. Breaking news. Balogun red card against the U.S. has been suspended, so he will play tomorrow.
For those.
Donald Trump tweeted last night.
That's corruption right there.
Donald Trump tweeted last
at the highest level of FIFA.
For those of you who say,
let me cool the tempo a little bit. But here's what I'm going to say.
Listen, let me, before you go. For those of you who think that soccer is devoid of politics, even when the news broke last night, I said it. I said I don't know how FIFA is going to explain this because, like Table News say, everybody love their own crow. When it's on your side, you like it. The American people, we are all happy, right? This is corruption at the highest level.
I think the corruption started from the uneven calling. You yourself, you demonstrated how Messi did the same thing. So I agree. There's a little bit of politics in it. And it's not fair.
No.
Messi even worse.
Don't minimize it.
Why you even a little bit?
Let's come back to the issue, right? Let's come back to the issue. You were saying, for instance, you go to Singapore, don't take a piece of what they have, bring the whole thing. Now let's talk about agriculture. We're talking about, if we take agriculture as an isolated developmental project, can you do agriculture without roads? Can you do agriculture without electricity? You cannot do that. So it's
That's why the president focused on roads.
So easy for us
can you let this man speak?
But
they're not football games.
I'm sorry, Dan.
No, I said you should let you speak.
Go ahead.
Because he gave him
He decided to interrupt you for nothing. Just go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say we can do agriculture, but there are a lot of other ancillary, a lot of conjoining factors that need to be addressed, and when you and I can understand, President Boga, when you sit on the heap now, you can, from the eagle's eye, you see all these problems. The only problem we're seeing is, in addition to all of the way they are spending, for instance, why is he not suspending the $45,000 every 3-year vehicle, something like that. Belt tightening. But the problem we are confronted with, it's not easy. You see electricity, but can you really put so much money to electricity? You understand me? When you don't have, running water here, so it's a myriad of problems. And this is where the judicious management of the resources comes in. If you can manage judiciously, for instance, this one shot $200 million that we got from Metal, I really believe that is money that I don't think it was planned for in the budget. It was a one-shot deal. That's something we could have really put to a very, very good use to help us alleviate some of these problems that we are faced with. But, I'll give it back to you. But, when we talk about agriculture, let me say, saying, yeah, we should be able to do that. But can we do that? We don't have running water. We don't have electricity. We don't have roads. How do you do that? You can't do that.
Let me answer that question for you. Let me answer that question. It's a simple answer.
Go ahead.
Can we do agriculture in the absence of running water today? Yes. Agriculture with
electricity and road.
Hold on. Agriculture is that engine that will generate revenue.
How?
That will generate revenue quickly for the Liberian government to supply other sector. For instance, corn, cassava, rice. These things don't take a whole year to grow. You generate hold your peace. You generate more revenue from cutting down. Even Liberian people say, okay, we don't let country revenue. They think they call it American parboiled rice. In common term, that's swamp rice. It grows in the swamp. Do we have swamp land in Liberia? Abundance, I mean? Yes. Across almost every county, there's swamp in Liberia. So the American parboiled rice, the common man will say the swamp rice is grown in the swamp. It's not grown on highland. We can grow it. Send the people like the parboiled rice. We can also do the parboiled rice. The machine that can melt it and polish it and make it shining like that. You can also do it in Liberia. If you put that machine in Liberia and the machine melt it right and polish it, the American government will not can uproot that machine from there.
Look,
do your research.
Mr. Gilman,
how you get it right from the farm to the road.
First of all,
how you get it equipment?
Hold on. So in Bon County, we take counties that are already accessible to road. From Monrovia to Grand Bassa, you got a paved road. From Monrovia to Bon County, you have a paved road. From Monrovia to Nimba County, you have a paved road. What is your excuse? You start with those counties first. And when those counties start generating revenue,
Anthony, waste more.
Now, let's come to LEC, the electricity. Let's come to LEC. According to LEC own record, there are a little over 200,000 subscribers. Okay, let me call them customers. Let me not use the technical term subscriber. Customers. 200,000 of them. Every year, the minimum that the national budget gave LEC that $40 million United States dollars. LEC is supposed to be a revenue generating arm of the government, not receiving subsidies from the government. So how do you do that? That's what you do. You take LEC and say, okay, let's take, for the sake of this discussion, $50 per month that you pay for your electric bill, right? If 200,000 pay $50, that's $10 million per month, 12 months, that's $120 million. If your overhead cost you 40 or 50 million, you still have at least $70 million left for you. $70 million you generate in 1 year. But every year, look at the national budget. There is
so you're talking about generating revenue from people who pay their bills, right?
Listen, guys. Listen.
Right now, most businesses and government officials are the most consumer of LEC. Who are not paying? Most businesses and government officials are the most consumer without paying their bill. Because you know what? They don't have a meter. The meter is bypassed. It's a direct current to the house. Yeah, they are consuming the load.
Anthony,
government officials.
It's a game. 1 minute, guys. Listen.
Why are you saying that giving excuses to these people?
Mr. Namwe, your trend of thinking is that nothing will ever be done in Liberia because we don't have roads, we don't have electricity. You can do
No,
this.
I never said that. What I
No,
said
no,
was
but
we need to plan and spend our resources judiciously. Is what I
well,
said.
but this is what we are saying. Listen,
We already have content that have accessibility to good roads.
And
Why-
I give you example of some of the places that I thought we could take some
listen,
of the
guys,
and
listen. Do you know why we have canals and waterways in the United States? Those are modes of transportation in terms of war. When the major highway can no longer be accessible, you can use your canal, you can use your rivers, you can use the ocean, you can use the waterway. That is what we have in abundance. We have our coastal line. If, for instance, during the war, people were transporting goods, commerce from Cape Palmas to Monroe by way of the ocean. You realize that all along the Atlantic Ocean, the 350 miles, if that is correct, it is accessible by the ocean. You don't need no road. All you need is a barge. We have the rivers connecting everywhere. The Do River.
No, but that is to assume that all of the things you will be transporting are assembled in Hapo. I come from Barobo.
We are talking about.
Hold on. I have to have a road. I have to have a way to take my goods to Hapo before I can put them in the box.
What we are telling you,
revenue.
There are rivers, there are streams, there are ocean, there are everything. And we have a means of doing this. But if you say we should wait until all of these things come together before we become functional, this is what we are saying. Let me go to Mr. Kamara.
But let's go ahead. But that's not my argument, though. But let's go ahead.
If we wanted to do
we
rice,
need to go to our topic to do.
this is one of the topics. If we wanted to do rice in Cape Mount, you cannot tell me that Cape Mount, there's part of Cape Mount that are so far away from Robert Sports or the Mana River or something that we cannot get our goods to market. I just find that very hard to swallow. Go ahead, then we move on.
Yeah, Mr. Gilman, what Mr. Nangbe is looking at, like you guys are not looking at, is the complexities. The problem is compounded. You can't do one and leave the other one. Just like you said about the Singapore issue, Mr. Gilman. He's talking about, Cape Mount County. Most of the roads, most of the land that are around the quota in Cape Mount County, those lands may not be suitable for rice production. That is why Cape Mount produce more cassava. Now, you need to go in parts of the hinterland where it's more conducive for rice. Just because they say we need agriculture doesn't mean you can just plant anything anywhere. Road is the major resource that is needed to make farming bloom. If you don't have roads, just recently we all say any road passing through Grand Jida, road passing through Grand Bazaar, but the people could not bring their commodities to sell to the local market, to the markets, the cities, and so the commodities will get right in the villages and in their towns, even though roads are passing through their county. And you talking about the mineral that just passed through the county? Is that the mineral that is really going to serve the country? No. So,
Kamara, please. Grand Bazaar had a multiplicity of roads.
You can't remember Grand Bazaar.
And let me tell you the thing. This is what we are talking about ingenuity, right? We talk about creativity. What you think got America to what it is railroad. It's not even road, okay? So let's say,
Mr. Gilbert, you're missing the point.
No.
Let me learn from what I was saying.
Our people are not creative in any way, and you cannot tell me what you said there, because we know very well that, listen, even if we were harnessing, like Lamco used to do with the railroad, we had a rail bus system, right? That was transport system outside of the cargo system. So we were moving commodities from Buchanan to Yekepa by way of the train system.
But Mr. Gilman, here's the point I'm making. Here's the point I'm making. That train system is not there. It needs to be revamped or rebuilt.
Oh, come on.
Mr. Gilman, calm down. Calm down. Listen to me now. But let me learn. We're not disagreeing here. If you listen to the conversation from Anthony, from Nangwe, from you, from me, nobody is disagreeing here. We are saying that one development without the other will still hinder advancement. You talk about Grand Bazaar. I know Grand Bazaar from number 1 to number 3. There are roads all over there. Most of those roads, the bridges are built with woods. Most of those woods are laying. Is that where you want to carry your equipment to go collect rice from the bush to bring in town? Now, what they are doing now is they're doing it systematically. Nimba County is becoming more accessible and it's having a lot more rice production going on currently. They're doing it on an incremental scale. What they're saying is true. We can do better, we can do more, and therefore let us do it, but we cannot do it and just think, we just look at just as simple, or the road passing through Buchanan and stops in Buchanan from Buchanan to RTR at Murray Road. All right?
So how many hectares of farm project in Nima County now? Because Nima County have good roads. How many hectares of rice farming? You giving lawmaker $11.8 million every year in the national budget.
You can get care of the conversation and cancel.
I'm not carrying anywhere. You wasting money. You complaining about money, but you wasting it on the other side. That you want to come and lecture me about systematic. Look, we gotta be intentional about what we want to do and how we're gonna do it.
You are
come here, can lecture anybody here.
You are giving our leaders on the ground.
That Buri coming. Buri haven't talked for a while.
You are taking them off the hook here. A guy who drives $100,000 car and complains that
that's a different debate.
No, not a different debate. Because
what makes it a different debate?
That's the money that should be used.
We're talking about sustainability. We're talking about independence.
You're using it.
What is the guarantee that if you don't buy $100,000 car, the money will still be invested in agriculture?
Dr. Budi, who
controls the national budget? Who sends the national budget to the legislature every year? Isn't it the executive mansion? Stop that kind of thing, man. Let's proceed.
That Buri coming.
Close up on this here, so we move on. A country
right, so let me try and be the voice of.
A country that spent 80% of its total budget on recurrent benefits, adequate recurrent expenses and benefits. That country is not serious for anything. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of things that have been said can be added together to sum up the status quo as it is, right? Can Liberia make some progress to being self-sustainable in terms of food production? Yes, we can. Would we be allowed to do it as long as it doesn't threaten the U.S. Wheat and rice sellers, producers, right? As long as producing rice in Liberia does not threaten the United States farmers' ability to sell rice to Liberia, then yeah, we will be allowed to do it. In the same way, as long as producing wheat to make flour in Liberia does not undermine wheat production sales from the U.S., into Africa and Liberia, that's fine. People keep talking about Singapore. Singapore is a country that is unique in the sense that it didn't or doesn't have any natural resources, right? There is not really anything that Americans could go there to exploit, right? So they decided, well, since we don't have any natural resources, we're going to invest in our human capital. We're going to invest in infrastructure, and we'll use our coastal line to invest in our port infrastructure, and we can reinvent ourselves. That's a desperate situation, right? One of Liberia's problems is the fact that we have natural resources that America wants, right? And if they want it, they will take it at the price that they're willing to pay. Now, do we need good leadership? Yes. Would a good leader have utilized the resources? We have limited resources much better? Yes, right? And those are conversations we can have. But my thing here is, look, if I need to complete a journey of 1,000 miles and I need 100 gallons of diesel to complete those 1,000 that journey, and someone say, okay, we'll give you 10 gallons, right? Yes, 10 gallons will take me some part of the journey, but it wouldn't take me all the way. The rest of the 90 gallons I have is being held by someone else, and they say, no, you're not getting it. And that is the argument, right? I need to get to 1,000, so I need 100 gallons, right? But I only have 10. And people say, oh, but do something with the 10. At least drive somewhere with the 10 and then sit down there and wait again. But by the time I sit to wait for the 90 to come, I might die, right? So that's the argument I'm making. The structures globally are preventing us from getting all of what we need. It doesn't take away from the fact that the little that we have, we've not managed it well.
Great.
And that's by design. You're right, Dr. Budi. It's not by accident.
There you go. I'll use myself.
But let me give you an example here. You see, they use the whole dissolution of USAID. That is, and look, if you look at the war now happening in the Middle East, and you see how America is almost less than 50% at capacity, they're coming for our natural resources. And how best to do that? First of all, they remove all the little things they gave us before and make us even more desperate. And now they are coming to come back. They need to restock their armory. They need the lithium. They need the cobalt. They need the all of those resources they will need to restock their armament. Now, if they leave you, halfway capable of saying no to them, you think they will get those things as cheap as they're going to? No. Right now, the same battle we're fighting with Niba, they are in DR Congo already that has about 70% of the world's cobalt. That is one of the major, natural resources they need to restock their armament. So all of this is by design. I mean, is corruption enabling them to make it easier for them to do it to us? Yes. And this is why we're fighting the little fight. Those of us who are giving, who are choosing. This is like a sacred calling when they say, okay, Jerome Gamer, the 5.5 million of us now, we've given you the authority to negotiate on behalf of Liberia. That is the duty you should take very seriously and negotiate on our behalf, and not to negotiate on your behalf and a few. But this is what we have seen time and again. Now, it is the deck is already stacked against us internationally. And then locally, the little that we have to play with, we're not managing it properly. So when you put the two together, I use the word again, combustible, I think it makes it easier to keep us as bad as we are. But other countries are figuring it out. I mean, Ghana next door, we just said that. They're figuring it out. Sierra Leone, everybody now is leaving us behind. Because we haven't figured it out in Liberia. We got no electricity, we got no running water, we got nothing. We got no internet. We got nothing in Liberia. Why?
Well, this is what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. We are taking our folks off the hook and blame it on the white folks. When 1998, I had a great job with the Echo Foundation, making good money. After my research, I told my wife, I said, what I'm doing for Echo, I could do it for myself. And my wife said, listen, I am pregnant. We are expecting a baby. Do not make the attempt to leave the job that you have. We have insurance. You're making good money. And I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think I can do this.
All right. Too. So this conversation happened over 20 years ago, because that was the last time you made baby. So let's just make sure
because me, I won't poke hole in the thing saying that. So
she said the racism, you will not get funding. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. They are not going to give you
funding. Even your wife is smarter than you.
Yes. She says you are going to be competing with the Boys and Girls Club, Big Brother, Big Sisters, all of these nationally recognized corporations. You are not going to make it there. These people are racist. They're nobody. I took the leap of faith. So the racism and all of these things, you have to make your way. You have to find your niche. You have to force the situation.
Give me 10 seconds.
Listen, yes. So the reason I'm saying this is exactly that. The other folks in Ghana, I think it was the last time they have decided that now, like Kamara said, they have decided to nationalize most of the industries. Okay? They have decided that they would rather deal with the African Development Bank now than they would deal with the World Bank and the IMF. Right. Our listener, Dakonte today, the guy from Nigeria with the oil refinery, he said, they told me, he said, in fact, for me to buy my land, he called in the oil mafia. He says to buy land in my own home. OPEC, the mafias in OPEC, they sabotage him buying land for 5 years. He said, but he persisted. They told him, where you got the money from? He said, I went everywhere else except where they wanted me to go. And today he owned the largest oil refinery in the world. So this is what we are talking about.
Mr. Gay,
And this is a guy from
you start
Nigeria.
selling their pipe dream, right? Because that's the thing is, these people, the structures cracked open the door to let one of you go in to sell the illusion that success is a meritocracy. There is nothing like a meritocracy.
This is what we are talking about. When
Dr. Booty, so how are we going to get out?
Listen,
be afraid to die?
Let me tell you how you get out.
No. Listen, let me end. When I met with Mr. Johnson, the guy who owned BET, he said yes. He said when they open the door, it is your job to let other people in as well. This is how we build network. He says I came in and I built a BET. They came and said they wanted to give me $5 billion. Now I took that money and did other things, and now I'm building golf courses and do other things, and I'm bringing black people out of black people home. That's how you do it. So we can't just sit there and just cry that they're racism and white people do this.
They did the same thing to Tyler Perry. What is Tyler Perry today?
Okay, guys, let's go to our.
Mr. Give me 10 seconds.
No second.
This topic is really too interesting. I'm telling you, man. I think the audience are enjoying this conversation.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of comments. We're getting a lot of comments.
Very interesting. Mr. Gimman, listen, it is not your fault. You came to America as a young man and got your exposure. And for some reason, you got one way exposure, which is to be a fan of the white man. And there's nothing wrong with that. There are a lot of great white people. I work with some of them. There are a lot of great people. But Mr. Gimmy, you cannot just dismiss what Booty and Nangwe are saying. Mr. Gimmy, just look at your own history in Africa. What happened to you? Small thing. This is popular. Maybe I'm not even supposed to be saying this. What happened to Patrice Lumumba? Why was he killed and dismembered? What did he do to the white man?
Mm-hmm. When was that?
I'm coming now. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Okay. You gotta do.
The system is in place. This system has not been abolished. You have to understand. Okay, let's cut the most recent. Let's talk about Thomas Sankara. Why did they kill Thomas? So they don't have any genuine reason why they killed Thomas, except for the fact that he was trying to make his people independent in the real sense of the word independent. What is happening now? You're talking about happening way back then.
So let's talk about Tuareg.
What is happening now? I'm talking about now.
You can't talk. So if you talk about now, then
talk about Tuareg. You gotta let me land.
Let's talk about Tuareg.
You gotta let me land.
Let me advocate for Ali.
What is happening to Burkina Faso now? To the young man, what's happened to him? He has to surround himself with walls of security. Not from Burkina Faso.
To Mr. Gay. Is that how you're supposed to do your people?
Not for Burkina Faso. He's shielding himself from the extended forces. Why? I'm talking about now. You're talking about back then. I'm talking about now. Let's talk about Talbot. Talbot disagree in Gaza. Talbot brought the mat to mattress. Talbot was speaking about Africanism. When they realized that what happened, they said, Doe killed Talbot. We know Doe didn't kill Talbot. Doe wasn't even that sophisticated. If you were growing up as a child after and you saw the monument in front of the mansion, say the unknown soldier, you can ask yourself a question, what do they mean by the unknown soldier? Why do they have to build a monument for this unknown soldier? You think Doe was an unknown soldier? Everybody knows.
So
you gotta look at it from a
Listen. When you talk about Talbot, okay, let's put this in context.
I brought you to Burkina Faso. That's most recent. Let's stick with that.
No, you talk about Talbot. Let put this in context. If you're gonna use Talbot as your hero, then you.
No, I didn't say that.
So, I just say you the film where Sister Minnie did this thing on President Talbot, who says, okay, he basically they say 53 family owns the country.
But that's a different conversation you bring in. Let's go to the next topic then. Because you're going around the place.
Mr. Kamara, 1 minute. Don't get vexed. If Mr. Gamer is going to bring that argument up, Probably about 4 or 5 family own the America that you're talking about there, so right? So at least our own were 50 something. So if that's your argument, I've made Liberia on the top of bad, that means America is horrible.
But
when there are less families that own everything.
But look, but look, what's happening in there are more opportunity in America than it is anywhere in the world. But let's go from there.
No, it
Your
depends.
definition of opportunity is
Because listen to
different.
this.
What is your definition of opportunity?
Then go to who you use. You understand me? The guy who building the biggest manufacturing.
He got him done already.
He
was giving his break by China, not America.
But
not
this is
West.
what we're saying. He found a way.
Yeah,
he found a way because he's a billionaire. You cannot find a way that he found.
No, he didn't find a way because he was a billionaire. He was thinking. This is a man who was thinking outside the box.
He has every resources to fight. He has the man is richer than Liberia. So what are you talking about now? The man is walk over to the 5 billion.
So Liberia should do absolutely nothing. We just
that's not what we're saying. We're just messing up things here.
We should just sit down and accept our fate.
That's not what we are saying.
God swear us. We will not do anything.
All right, that's just the next thing.
God swear us, so we just be ready.
Okay,
guys.
That I know that Fakao, he had to listen. So because we said, you asked me to conclude it, I told you, look, the international structures make it difficult for the little that come down here to make any significant impact. Yes, there is corruption, and yes, a good leader might do better, but we wouldn't go far enough, right?
But
where we should be, we will not get.
The idea is go as far as you can. You have not taken the first step.
Mr.
You don't have water. You don't have
electricity. What he said. You didn't listen to Mr. Kamara.
Listen.
These people are doing the things that they're doing to keep us in. Look, there's a book I'm reading now called Know Your Place.
So what is
right?
your solution?
Know Your Place.
What is your solution?
The solution Mr. Nangbe offered is the best solution.
I'm saying your solution. How do we get out of it?
I can agree with his solution. His solution can be my solution. That's why I'm using it. Right? You can't tell me I'm not using this. If they didn't bring knowledge on table, how I can use the knowledge?
And I can restate
Nambe, please. Tell her what is.
No, he talked about the collective. He talked about the collective effort, right?
Exactly.
That's what he talked about. What's going on between Burkina Faso, Niger? Because the more you are together, the easier is it to defend yourself against these adversaries. That's why people, Mr. Kamara, I don't know. That's why he was wait now. No, when the English was speaking, you can't understand.
It's set in a way. It's set in a way.
So Liberia, for example, right?
Yeah.
Guinea, Sierra Leone, Ivory Coast, and other countries in the sub-region need to come together. So, you know what happening? We're going to create a single block.
But
right?
they did already.
Listen
they
now.
Did ECOWAS.
Mr. Gamer, can you wait? You
did ECOWAS.
No, I did not do ECOWAS. ECOWAS is a stupid
nonsense, right? You did the monorail
ECOWAS
block.
Is a stupid bureaucratic nonsense.
That's what
right?
what
I'm talking about.
That's what the monorail block.
Listen. What Mr. Nangbe said and what I'm agreeing with is that, look, if these, I'm just going to name 4 countries, right? Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Ivory Coast. If we come together and say, look, we're one unit, right?
We did that already.
It's not being done.
We are monorail. That's the monorail block.
That is a club. That's not a unit. That's a club. Right? That the 4 of us deciding, look, every Sunday we'll come to one person and drink liquor. That's a club.
You still need less passes to live in any of those countries.
Exactly. What I'm asking for here is very simple. Guinea has resources that Liberia does not have. Liberia have resources that Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast don't have. Ivory Coast has things that we say, okay, look, if you're coming to bargain, you're bargaining with us as a unit. You want Liberia iron ore, this is what it's going to cost you. You want Guinea cobalt or whatever, this is what it's going to. But we are together as one unit. We make the money, we distribute the wealth, right? Yeah. So that way there is a big.
And in the deal that we can even have one central bank where we can even credit from each other, we can do all of that.
Exactly. You know? We're talking about like the European Union, for example, where they have a single currency, where they have a European Parliament, where laws made in Brussels govern all of the countries of the EU, right? That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Where there are no countries in the EU have the only thing military, they don't have an EU military, but everything else, foreign policy, everything is made centrally. So that way it creates an opportunity because look, when you're united, the numbers, they say there's strength in numbers. I think that's where I will end.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are I'm arguing with a bunch
No,
of.
did you learn anything from what the man just said? Answer that question.
Yeah,
I
You.
may
I
high
learned that
here.
they
I
are
may
so,
high here. Not learning bad
I
things.
learned that they are
The man
socially.
own web. The man own web.
I learned that they are all socialists. And by the way, my wife told me now that she's driving a 2025 Lexus, and she said I was the greatest man she ever married. If I had failed, she was gonna say you are a bum.
I would have not a bribe for you to go to Moravia the last time we were there.
Yeah, I don't know that's what it is. So, guys, listen, we have to find a way out of this. It is for a nation that don't have a lot. The little that we have, if we can't do our pipeline water to supply just Monrovia. I'm not talking about a nation because they have not done that. If we can't supply water to Monrovia, if we can't do electricity to Monrovia, if we can't do sewage to Monrovia, those basic, what they call the basic necessities of life in our capital, and we are still blaming the West, then there's something intrinsically wrong with us.
And you're not going to get away with that thing saying. You can't get away.
The last time I checked, we don't have water in Monrovia. We don't have electricity in Monrovia. We don't have sewage. People are still doing public defecation. People are still doing public urination. If these things in our capital, if we can address that, because I'm not even talking about Barabo, I'm not talking about Grand Bassa, I'm just talking about just Central Monrovia. I can't say they say because I was just there. If we don't have those things, where my friend was staying, we went over there just to have those things for the Lebanese. We're paying $1,000 per week.
1,000 what?
US.
What kind of alternate that's on?
Oh, you see?
So Jerome, I don't disagree with you, but look, to talk sense into the head of a hungry person, you understand me? You're joking. No, I'm serious.
So Joseph got hungry?
No, Joseph Boca is not hungry. But the people walking in the streets, you can't get them.
Let me just support the main point. Let me just support the main point. Mr. Gamer, listen. You know the street sign on the put around the street in sync of those metal stuff? Guess what? They put the limit in the next day they go there, they're gone. Yeah, somebody can hassle and saw the iron and carry it to melt it. So when they say hungry people, listen to me. When they say hungry people, you can't just be myopic about the conversation. Look at the conversation with an open mind. Widen your horizon. The truth of the matter here is you have a country where you only have rich people or poor people for Liberian standard. The poor people are nearly 5 million. Plus, the rich people might only be about 200. So when a message talking sense into a hungry man, you can't go for Joseph Boakai. You know that's not what he's saying.
But the idea Joseph Boakai came to change all of that. And
to just change the whole 5% million one day.
There you go. You said Joe, we are going to come and do it. In fact, what the man said, he said, my first 100 days in office, there will be no car stock.
No, you see, on major roads.
Major road in the country.
And he was right. No car is getting stuck on major roads.
And he said, and I mean it. And then
somebody, of course, then he did it.
Then Martin said, you see how you can lie?
Let's go to the next topic, man. Don't change the topic.
We don't have much time. We should just end on this topic.
Mr. Kamara, that did not happen in 100 days, please.
It did.
Yeah, but has it happened? Has it happened?
No.
Yeah.
So all major roads now are paid.
All major roads are pliable. If you know the major roads.
So went from paved go to pliable road now.
What are you talking about paved road? The man said you pave all major roads. That's not what he said.
We stay dropping.
The word I use, that's what he used. It's pliable.
Okay, guys. Now let's go to this and end the show here because I think we're having such a great time. They said the Liberian government approved. We're going to discuss on the Liberian government approved the resolution of the Liberian Port Authority to suspend and basically dissolve the contract of those who were providing logistics at the airport, GLS Inc. This is a Liberian-owned corporation that is making multi-million dollars. This is a contract that these people wanted all along. They got an opportune time to take the contract from these guys and give it to their partisans. This is what this is all about. They are not going after those who brought the drug, who owns the drug, where the drug was stored. They are talking about that. And then the government, at their cabinet meeting, endorsed a directive requiring the Liberian Airport Authority to conduct physical inspection on all cargo entering the country. I was shocked to even find out that cargo coming out of the country, they don't inspect it.
No, the physical inspection. That's a difference.
Of course. Who wouldn't do physical inspections? We'll talk about that.
Hold on. So what kind of inspection they were doing for?
Well, no, they do scanning. Hold on. They do scanning. That's what the machine. This one they don't want to open it. I said, going to open it. Look at that.
Listen. The Liberian government is to establish a national drug rehabilitation fund. That is another agency they are about to establish to fund.
To eat money.
Let me start with Dr. Booty. This is your area here. I mean, it's a platitude of all kinds of stuff. The more we got problem and look at these guys, see an opportune time to raise money, to eat money. Now they're gonna throw money at this thing. Now they say we need more money. When you say we don't have the budget, we got a budget shortfall. We don't have money. Why are you creating more agencies? Let's talk about these in a short time, Dr. Booty. Your take.
Yeah, quickly. I think what I would have done is maybe go for more sophisticated machines that can, because I don't think in countries that are able to identify drugs in cargo that they're using physical, hand checking of these cargo. That's going to take a lot of manpower, and that's going to mean paying a lot of people when you can get much better, more sophisticated machines to do it. That would be the way I would have done it. I think, yeah, that's pretty much how I would address that.
Hey guys, let us guys, let's mute. If you're not talking, Dr. Gay.
Dr. Gay.
Yeah.
Point General Gay.
Yeah, General Gay.
No. I just need to be called Tony. No taco. Please, I get too much time in that, bro.
Okay, but Dr. Booty, the machine they have that works because the lady scanned it and said, because of my training, it's too dense. We need to go to stage 2, which is physically opening. So they do have the sophisticated machine that works. The people that work the machine are the one who are saying, through the system, this is what the system shows. And the next step, when it happens like this, for us to physically open this and see so the system is working.
So then, is there a combination of the machine X-raying it and then having a physical check, or is it just going to go to physical check and that's it?
Because what happened here now is the system they have there, all the cargo goes through the scanning machine, and they see something suspicious, they pull it aside. Yeah. So it's working. Yeah. So what is it that they are saying now that all the machines? So are they saying now that we should get rid of the scanning machine and just do manual, which is impossible to do?
Well, if what you're saying is true, that the machines do work, and then people have to then, when there are suspicious items identified, do a physical check, then that should be the system. I think more training would then be what I would recommend for the individuals that are operating these processes, or try and see if there are ways that we can learn from other countries in terms of what processes they have in place and see if we can implement it in Liberia. But look, if the machines are working, then it makes no sense to get rid of them and go to 100% manual check, because one is going to take too long, right? 2, you're going to need a lot of manpower, and 3 is just so inefficient, but then obviously if bringing it back to our context, that's what we're living in right now. We have a government that's very inefficient, and so I wouldn't be surprised that they will opt for a process that is as inefficient as the government is.
Mr. Namwe, they cannot blame training, right? I think is your wife giving you? Okay, if your wife want you to go dish out the food. Go ahead, you can go.
No, Mr. Gimme, the man's wife heard about the 2025 car you bought for your wife. So she came to ask me, where am I on a 2025 car?
Go in Marvel together. No.
But Mr. Nambe, we can't talk about training, right? We can't talk about training. We can't talk about training because the trainers work. They did their work. They are trained because they were the one that caught this thing. They follow all the policy and procedure. They scanned it. They separated the package. They said, according to our training, this is too dense. If it's dead dense, it has to be open. So we called in the police to open it. So the training part of it worked. The machine worked.
But if you notice,
if you notice,
Jerome, this was one hearing when the officials in charge did not call for more support because they got all the support they need.
More support.
They got all the support. We heard Snow and Cornet saying to us that whenever the budget is submitted to them, the one place they don't even haggle, they don't talk about is the security budget. And then we heard that the LDA since February had been trying to procure scanners at the airport. So this is not a resource problem. It's not a funding problem. This is a failure on several levels. And I will say this quickly because we didn't have much time to talk about this. Now pass it on. Isn't it very concerning that the police director, the IG on Wednesday at a hearing, was very adamant on arresting people or charging people on Saturday? You know, I mean, I've had to think about it. A lot of people have said so. First of all, the very names that were released on Saturday, he already had these names on Wednesday. He called these very names: Paul King, Peter King, Michael Brown, Oscar Brown. All these names, he had them. But if you notice, the pro tem asking whether we will get charges before the week goes over. He said yes, Saturday. And then he reminded us that the courts are open on Saturday. Now, one has to wonder, was he sending a coded message to his would-be suspects to hurry and get their business together and leave the country before he brings his hammer down on Saturday? A lot of people are asking. Because of all the names he called, only one person is in detention. I think that's Mr. Paul King. But Peter, who is even the managing director, how is it they are suspending GSL and the managing director is walking around Monrovia? How does that make sense to anybody? How does that make sense? So was he giving these people a hairstyle and telling them, look, by Saturday, and if you notice this press conference, he had it almost 10 o'clock, almost 9 o'clock on Saturday night, giving these people all of Wednesday, all of Thursday, all of Friday, all of Saturday to get away. So as a result, all the names he called, only one person is in the police custody. So all of this thing here, and I don't think it's a failure of lack of resources. This is
right now.
Organized crime that's taking place in Liberia, and I think we need to really call it for what it is. And if I'm the president by now, all of these leaders, the LDA, the police, all of these people are going to be suspended. He passed it on to the chief of national security in the country, who is the justice minister. Why is it the IG is still speaking for the team? He is not in charge of the investigation anymore. And where is Minister also to it? So, I want to say a lot more, but we're out of time. I'll be respectful to my colleagues here, so I will pass it back. But there's a lot of questions that have been raised by the way they're conducting this thing. It's just really kind of baffling all of us. You suspended GSL, but the managing director, you got the operation director, but the managing director, the real grand, he's walking around Monrovia, you understand me? Going to Calabash or wherever they go, he's having a good time. Then what are we to believe? But back to you. This is crazy.
Anthony Gay, you saw the score, huh?
Yeah. Listen, they World Cup here. These guys these small countries don't respect big people.
They don't respect big countries. Brazil in trouble.
They may have the height advantage, my man. Come on,
Don't do that. That's very disrespectful. Norway has completed twice as many passes as Brazil. right? They're in the 500s. Brazil just completed 200 and something passes. So it's not like they're just lumping the ball in the air. That's very
I'm saying
disrespectful.
the gentleman who just scored the ball have a height advantage over the defender.
Don't do that.
Martin
Don't need to
Gala,
go to the height situation.
When,
Gabriel is as
But they
tall
make it do. They make it do what
Haaland.
you want to do, man. They make it say what you want to say. Let's
hey,
move on.
my team that
You cannot
France.
say what
If
he
you want
wants
to know
to
the team that's
say.
supporting the
skewing
World Cup,
that's
outside the
skewing the
African
fact.
team, that France. So get forget it. I support
there you
France.
go.
That's skewing
Now,
the
now,
fact.
now you're not pivot. Okay. Let me go to Aliu.
Yes, sir.
Here we are. We're talking about
Yeah, man, they got
the effectiveness of this is baffling. I was shocked to hear at a hearing the police chief said that the LDA does not even have an office space at the airport. It was shocking. The LDA.
None at the Freeport too.
Yeah. How is this possible?
Okay. Mr. Gilman, first of all, I want to say a special thank you for the workers of security at the airport for a job well done. I think we only focus on the drug, but we're not focused on the fact that the drug was caught. And we're forgetting about those who are doing those kind of jobs. We need to give them the compliment and the support that they need to continue to do the job. So all I can say to the National Airport Authority, thank you for a job well done. We want to see more of these. Make the airport a no-go place for drug trafficking. I want to thank the DEA for such a marvelous work they have done over the year. This year, last year and this year, the recent DEA team have been magnificent. They have controlled the border to a very greater degree. So petty drugs and stuff now we don't really see them in the streets. Zogo rate in our capital cities, our county capital cities have reduced drastically. Their hideouts and safe havens are being completely destroyed. And most of them now are actually giving themselves in for rehabilitation. They're asking for people to rehabilitate them. They're giving up because they're knowing better. Zero crime has drastically reduced in Liberia. But one thing I want to say to people is people are taking the focus away from the national port, the Freeport Authority because of this drug thing, because people want to politicize it. The national seaport, Freeport of Monrovia is causing economic hardship for Liberian people. Some of the duties that they charge over there are not necessary, and nowhere in the sub-region they're charging those kinds of money. That's why it is the most expensive red diamond.
the concession signed by the Union Bank of the administration.
Now, these are things that I really want us to focus on. What really helps the people, as opposed to something that's already been caught. And one thing, Mr. Gilman, you said something about they trying to create some kind of a rehabilitation agency. I think that's another waste of money. We should be talking about reducing the size of government and not increasing it. All these departments, the police does have narcotic division. And then you have the DEA. And then you also have the Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, or the Ministry of Health. The Ministry of Health also is responsible to detox people, to rehabilitate people. So you already have these agencies. All you do is empower them and give them the training and logistics that they need to do their job, and not to keep expanding the government. That's one of the things I really disagree with the president when it comes to this, just creating boards and creating new agencies and setting up committees. All these things are really not necessary when you already have the institutions in place.
Well, Anthony Gay.
I couldn't agree with you more on the last part, but the first part I disagree with you.
That's all right.
Look, Mr. Gaiman and Mr. Nambe, Dr. Booty, nice conversation. I mean, was a fascinating conversation that we had today. We can do more in the subsequent coming Sundays to come or weekend to come. Look, our nation can do both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. I know, Mr. Kamara, you always say, "Oh, we got to celebrate the security. We got to do this." How did the drug first, come into the country? That drug was not manufactured in Liberia.
Drug will always come into the country.
No, hold on,
drug
sir.
always in America.
It was a rhetorical question. I wasn't asking you directly.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. The thing here is, I can't celebrate a system that's already flawed. Senator American wrote the other day on his page that this administration reached out, I think in February, and asked for funding to help the security sector, to purchase equipment, to help the airport and other entry points. The legislature went to work and made the funding available. We give it to the administration. So out of what they asked for, they were giving. No excuse. 6 months later, we have the huge drug bust, and they're talking about, oh, they want to create another committee. I mean, something is not working. There is a system failure here. A serious systemic failure that needs to be addressed here. And for you to come out and say, oh, we need to get a security problem. Somebody was not giving what they do and they blew alarm. Now what happened? It's not that they don't know the thing they coming.
Conspiracy theory.
No,
So-
no, it's not conspiracy because the police IG said in May there was a shipment that went through. So it's not conspiracy.
It's not conspiracy. I don't know. You can read the document people put it out. The people said
So because something went through, that means somebody was bribed?
Oh.
I think it's just-
reading Benin.
No, leave it there. You know.
I got all the information on my fingertip.
Listen, listen.
Let me make my point quickly. So, guys, the thing here is we should not, come try to intellectualize this conversation. This is a serious security breach, and this administration is in charge of our national security, and we need to hold this administration accountable. We have the Guineans in our country over 2 months now. They've been sitting there. Another national security issue.
But listen,
overlooked.
That's
Anthony,
about the drug
Anthony,
business.
be careful. We got a Guinean sitting right here.
So for us to sit here and act as though the government doing exceedingly well, they to cherry. We cannot cherry
Now I
pick
see
national
why Mr.
security.
Gimen led in America. He racist gelatin.
But the thing here is, we can't sit there and cherry pick things. The government is in charge of national security. So if we're grading the government overall in national security, they will get a big F. You understand? They can't defend our country. They can't protect our country. They can't create jobs for our people. They are not also able to, invest in area that will create revenue for the country. They are all over the place. Somebody wrote in the comment section, oh, Anthony bashed the government last week on a settlement deal, but he expect the government also to take the $200 million to invest. Well, I didn't like the deal. However, you got money from the deal. Why didn't you take the information to, prioritize certain sector in the country? But no, you did not do that. You took the money and squandered the money again. Just like the then VP said, they squandered opportunity. They squandered another opportunity here again. So that's the reason why the ANC will not give an excuse as to why we cannot walk and chew gum at the same time. We won't do the same thing.
Yeah, see.
Well, it looked like 2-0 for Anthony Gay. You gone? Let's go to second goal. Anthony Gay. Anthony Gay fell from a chair.
Talking about ANC. Who get down for ANC?
Anthony Gay fell from the chair. Guy, you please check.
You guys need to do a welfare check on him, please. Send
When it's
someone to do a welfare
the
check.
second goal, he fell from a chair. But Dr. Victor, how do you cancel the contract of a company that did their job? The company employees scan, they use a scanner, they scan the cargo. They were able to get the merchandise. They were able to stop the thing from going. After the company needed to get some kind of commendation, why would you cancel that contract? They didn't bring the drug in the country. They just stopped it from going. Why will you persecute them?
That is the fiamomona, that is distraction. I mean, that's a good question. Had these people not flagged this in and raised issues about the inconsistency in the weight, I don't think we'll be talking about this. Because this didn't happen back in May. I think May 22nd this year or so. 100 kg already, got shipped out of Liberia through the same fashion. So yes, coming down on this thing only because people are demanding the head of this agency and therefore suspending it. I think you made a point somewhere, either here or somewhere else. When Apple does something, they don't close the whole place down. You know, you find people and live it, whatever it is, but you don't close the company down. So I don't know. I just think it's an attempt to placate the public, you know, and make them look like they're doing something. But I think the real root of this problem, really, we haven't. Look, Michael U.S. Brown, they're calling the U.S. Marshal. This man was he was in detention for similar charge, and he was sprung. Up to now, they say he was relieved to the reconnaissance of his sister and I think his girlfriend or something like that. But where are these people? Because when somebody is released into your custody, you are going to be held responsible and liable for them. So I think all of these things, these are all distractions. You know, we've been here long enough. I don't want to, you know, everybody wants to watch the game, but we could go on. But I think this case has not even started yet. You know, people say, you know, conspiracy theory and all of that. Yeah, well, you know, explain it to me, make it make sense to me. Right now, we're spinning in circles. You had the names on Wednesday that you were announcing on Saturday, but you were waiting until Saturday, and you told other than, okay, my man, you're better. I'm coming for you on Saturday.
You got 2 days.
Exactly. So you think if I'm in that category, I will still be sitting around Monrovia?
I'll be in Sierra Leone.
I'll be in Sierra Leone. How is it? Are we surprised then that only 1 out of the 5 names he called, right now is in Michael is on, all the Browns are on the wrong. Oscar Brown is on the wrong. Michael Brown is on the wrong.
And this is the time that Mr. Ali Kamara can be quiet. Because it had to defend.
Well, they had to defend the indefensible.
Yeah, guys. Ali, you do your closing. So go out again.
I'll do my closing by touching this thing. Mr. Gilman, you know, the politics is messing us up. You know, we're overly polarized, politically speaking. When you say, why would they shut a business down, blah, blah, blah. The business was in contract with the government, working with the government. If the government decides it doesn't want to work with a company that is allegedly involved with drug issues, the government has the right to cancel that contract. That entity will not just working anywhere else, but working with the National Airport Authority. The airport authority can decide who to work with and who not to work with. There's nothing wrong with that.
For alerting you that there were drug coming to leaving the
but it wasn't the company, again, it wasn't the company that alerted you that it was drug. If the company knew that it was drug in there, why they had to take it all the way to the airport to alert somebody? Why they couldn't do it at the office? Let me land this. There's a lady at the airport who is also responsible for scanning these things. Who discovered this drug? It wasn't. Excuse me.
Where does it work? No, I want you to be factual. Where does it work?
But you see, you distracted me.
No, I want you to put it on the table.
Excuse me now.
Where does the lady work? Just answer that question.
So the logic here is, if the lady works for this company and she discovered a drug, why did she go all the way inside the airport, almost holding this thing on the plane before she get discovered a drug? Why didn't she discover their head office in Monrovia? Why did she discover a drug there? Why did they package it, put it in a taxi to take it to the airport? So now, but y'all can say close, but then y'all get chance.
No, because you're not closing. You're making argument.
You know,
you're splitting hairs here. You're killing us. You know.
Yeah.
You're closing now to raise.
Let me do my closing, but even do your own closing now. Let me do my own closing now. Calm down. So my thing is, the drug got busted. Well, thank God it didn't go through. And the security who were responsible for that, they did their best, as well as some people who were whistleblowers. That is the process. We cannot take that away from the government. When bad things happen, they happen because they will happen. We do our best to remediate. In America, recently, there were several police officers arrested. They were in complete cahoots with top drug dealers, and they were facilitators. The United States Police Department, high up, including corners. You understand what I'm saying? So to just assume that, because $19 million drug went to the airport, it was busted, so Liberia is done. Liberia is a Nago state. Then the whole world is a Nago state. Because there's drug in every country, including Saudi Arabia. So, man,
you were not closer to this.
It has been a wonderful show, Mr. Gilman, and thank you for having me.
Dr. Moody. I mean,
Well,
few
I
years.
like Mr. Kamara. I
One
like
minute.
your.
One
Oh,
minute.
sorry.
A few years ago, it was Aliu Kamara that was sitting right in that seat and said the George we are government, they are narco
Play the
people.
clip.
They bring
Play
in
the
drugs in
clip.
the country and all that. The whole yeah.
Play the clip.
The whole world didn't have drug. Only Liberia at the
I
time.
don't just make accusations. Play the
Now
clip.
that on here watch the whole world. Go ahead, Dr. Booty.
Look, it was a great topic, Mr. Gaiman, in terms of trying to understand the international structures in place that are placating countries on the continent, making it difficult for us to unshackle ourselves from centuries of exploitation and setting us up to fail. Now, we do agree that our government, with the little that comes in, should do more, and that is one of the reasons that some of us come on here to call out this government. That look, the little that you have coming in, you can do more with it, right? Having said that, I think until we can get, and I take Mr. Nangwe's point, and that's one I accept, a collective effort by African countries to really sit down and understand this analytically, that look, these people are not going to leave us alone individually, right? So maybe we come together as blocks and unite and work together for the betterment of all of our people. And that, I believe, is a solution that could be tried to see how best we can unshackle ourselves. On the issue of the drugs, look, Mr. Kamara is saying that, look, the lady took the drugs from Monrovia and took it all the way to the airport before we were going on the plane, and then she found out, blah, 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 blah. Look, my understanding, and I might be completely wrong, is that you can't scan the parcel in Monrovia, and then it travels from Monrovia to the airport when there are opportunities in between there to put something in it before you get on the plane, right? When I travel out of the UK, for example, my suitcase is scanned at the airport. Once they scan it, I don't touch it anymore, right? They take it and put it in the plane, because then they know that whatever they saw in it is what remains in it.
That's correct.
You can't scan my suitcase in town. I get to the airport and I go put it on the plane myself. It wouldn't make sense, because then once you finish scanning, I can't put anything I want to put in there and go and put it on the plane. Hence, the scanning has to take place at the airport, not in Monrovia. Because once the scanning,
You don't understand what you're talking.
I'm sorry, Dr. Booty. I just had to show this to Ali, but I'll take it down.
You don't understand what you're
it's
talking.
fine. It's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
This is
The lady did her job,
right? Yeah.
The lady did her job, and we should applaud her for doing that. I think, look, the government has a right to cancel contracts. I think GLS, if the contract was canceled mid-contract, I'm hoping that there is a clause in there for which they can sue the Liberian government and be paid compensation for a breach of contract, right? They have the right. And even me, I have a lot of contracts, television contract, mobile phone contract, other contracts. If I want to pull out of it, it's my right, but I have to pay compensation to the company. So GLS should take them to court and let them pay compensation for breaching the contract. But again, it's a great show. I'm glad that the audience were fully engaged. And yeah, look forward to next week.
Did Ali leave?
Oh no, yeah, Ali, once he gives his closing, he goes.
But you know what? Depending on if Brazil gets beat here and depending on Mexico performs tonight, I'm starting to believe that clip you circulated of the lady who says she cracked the code and she's thinking Portugal is going to win the World Cup.
Yeah. I would have
because right now, for Norway to be on top of Brazil like this is astounding.
And why they keep prolonging the game? They give
you exactly.
I guess they will be playing until Brazil equalizes.
Until Brazil equalizes.
Now we take us home.
No, I'm done. Thank you. It's been a great show.
Okay, guys, listen.
Yeah, and Brazil just scored on penalty kick.
Yeah, but it should mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But guys, thank you very much. Let's do that again next week.
We are Liberia. Liberia is our home. Liberia people. Liberia.